How you doing? This is Rick, and this is the scary part. So I'm doing this first video as an introduction so you know who I am and where I'm starting. Part of the reason for this video is I see a lot of entrepreneurs, people that have made it, people that have changed their lives, whether it's like weight loss, making more money, having better relationships and stuff like that, where you'll hear their story and they'll talk about, back then I was this, back then I was that. And you always see the end result. Usually you're catching these people when they're making it big, whatever that means, but you're catching that end result. And a lot of these people will always say, well, you weren't there, because they'll say this because they get told they're an overnight success, and they'll say, well, you weren't there when I was struggling and when things weren't so good. Tony Robbins, if anybody who's watching this video knows who he is, if you don't, look him up, says how when he was younger, he used to live in a 400 square foot studio apartment, and that was when he was like one of the down points in his life, when he was depressed, gaining weight, laying on the couch, feeling sorry for himself, and he turned it around, and now he's a multimillionaire. Same thing with many other people that have gone through success. You always hear about the down points, but you never really see them, right? I was fortunate enough to meet and become friends with Johnny Andrews, who's an internet marketer, or that's how I met him. He runs different businesses now, but he still markets online. I remember this was back in 2009. I was still learning some internet marketing stuff, applying it, made some money online, which is really cool. So I got a taste of it, so it showed me that it was real. As I'm shooting this video, it's 2018, so that was over 9-10 years ago now. But I was on Johnny's newsletter or email list, and I'm like, and the funny thing with emails, one of the requirements is you have to show an address of where you're from, so everything looks legit with the email processors and all that kind of stuff. So for Johnny, I saw that he was in my area of Chicago, one of the suburbs of Chicago. A lot of the internet marketers that I was following at the time and whose email lists I was on were either on the East Coast, like New York, or the West Coast, California. And so it was really cool that Johnny was here, and I was like, man, I got to find a way to meet this guy. And through circumstance, I happened to be at or got invited to a networking event. I was shooting video at the time, and Johnny was there. And then I didn't even know he was there, but I hear out of the crowd, is that the video guy? I need to talk to the video guy. And Johnny was pointing to me. I'm looking around going, who's the video guy? And then I see Johnny pointing to me, and I had recognized him. I was like, oh shit, that's Johnny, and he's pointing at me. Turns out one of my friends who had invited me to the networking event was talking to Johnny already, and Johnny had asked, do you know any video guys or girls? And they said, yeah, talk to Rick. Rick's really good. So that night, got to meet Johnny, and found out that he wanted to do a background / history video of where he started. Because at this point, when I had met him, Johnny was like this close to being a millionaire. And what he was experiencing with the people that he was talking to, clients, prospects, whatever, they were not believing his story of where he came from. And so made arrangements with Johnny to shoot his background video, which was really cool. sitting down and interviewing him and getting an idea of where he came from. And I'll share it on here someday. By the time you're watching this, it's probably already uploaded. But basically, he talks about how he was doing the real estate investing thing, got his identity stolen just at the point where he was ready to start collecting money on flips that he was doing, and couldn't collect on that money because his identity was stolen. So it looked like he had accrued all this debt that he didn't have. His thief, if you will, had stolen his identity and applied for mortgage for home and stuff like that. And it's really cool to hear Johnny talk about it. But he says, and I believe him because I got to know him, that he used to sleep in an office, sleep on a chair, not even a bed, because he would sneak in the office, so he had a roof over his head. But he was basically homeless, couldn't get a job because of the identity theft thing, and credit score was fucked basically. So couldn't get a job, couldn't really afford a place to stay, and the only thing that got him out of his situation, other than what was between his ears, was the internet. He was able to market online, sell a few things, and pull himself out of his situation. So I'm shooting this video as the starting point. Like I said in the beginning of the video, this is the scary part. It's embarrassing on some level. There's a sense of vulnerability to show you my space. Back in 2010, I went through a divorce. Fortunately, me and my ex weren't like one of those couples that were at each other's throats, but anybody who's gone through any divorce will tell you it's not pretty. Emotionally, it's one of the worst things that you could probably experience in life. And in that situation, that circumstance, I found myself without a car, without a house, without a family. So I ended up staying, living, not really living, but sleeping in an office. A friend of mine who I knew had a small office space that I used to crash in. My cousin took me in for about a year, slept in her basement. And one of the things that, at this point too in my life, I wasn't working, I didn't have a job. I had left my job to pursue a business in video, running my own little video company, which emotionally and mentally I wasn't there to even see through fruition, to have it succeed on any level, because I was just so fucked up in my head that there was no way I could have even created something successful when there was no success going on the inside of me. So I found myself through the years just bouncing around, living from one place to the next, and a lot of them were, single bedrooms here and there with friends, getting apartments with roommates and sharing spaces and stuff like that. So throughout all that, so we're going on damn near 10 years of that now. I've always wanted to succeed somewhere financially, but I knew it wasn't going to be with a job. I was one of these people that wasn't great in school. I got good enough grades, but the things that I found fun in school were like PE, gym classes, sports, art classes. I wanted to be a filmmaker when I grew up, and I did accomplish some of those things. I shot movies. I ran my own film festival for 4 years, and it was great. So I got a taste of it. But it's one of those things where our education system wasn't set up to produce filmmakers. So coming out of college, the only degree I had was an associate's degree in web design. And so I knew for me it wasn't, I wasn't going to go back and try to be an accountant or, I don't know, whatever. Like my future was kind of like you're going to work in a warehouse or a factory and make your money there, or construction or whatever. And those weren't options that I genuinely thought were for me either. So I always fought and struggled on the inside, especially mentally and intellectually, like how do I make it happen? I knew people like Johnny, I followed people like Tony Robbins, had all this knowledge, and I figured at some point I wasn't applying it. Again, part of it had to do with the divorce, the emotional crush of all that was going on, the guilt that I felt from it stopped me. And a couple of years back, I was listening to Chris Record talk about him going through his divorce and a little bit of alcoholism and things with his life and career and whatever. And I was listening to him talk, and I'm like, man, this guy kept pushing back. He kept falling down, getting knocked down, and standing back up. And it seems like when I look at my life, the last 10 years, I fell down and I stayed down. Like I didn't even want to get back up. I would crawl, but I wasn't up and walking and running or anything like that. So fast forward here a couple of years, and I've had some successes. I've learned to realize and recognize and appreciate the successes that I have had. When I was feeling down, I wanted to get in better shape for my daughter, because she was 3 years old at the time, and I just wanted to be around and be a better dad for her. So I tackled that issue, got healthy for 5 or 6 years, and then I said, okay, I'm not really making money. I got to start making money so I can take this little girl out places and enjoy some time with her. And so my focus shifted to how do I make more money. And fortunately, the industry that I was in, health and fitness, I became a manager of a gym. So I was now where I was not making any money. Now I had a salary and a decent, comfortable paycheck, enough to pay the bills. So let the health and fitness side go a little bit and gain the weight back, not all of it, but stepped away from the salary job and try to pursue my happiness and try to make a real push to do something online that I had learned 10 years ago. And I think for me personally, there was just this fear of how do I get out of this shell that I've created for myself, and I identified so much with being broke and poor, and that I didn't know how to break out of it. And as you can see, that's why I'm doing this video. It's part of that first step, that first step in the process to move forward. So it is July of 2018. I believe it's the 22nd. I didn't look at the date when I first started videotaping this thing, so I don't know, but it's July. I am living in a small, I would call it a studio, except it's not officially like studio. I'm not in an apartment. I'm in a house. I'm renting space in my friend's house up in the attic. So see my bed back there, clothes, my dresser. Those clothes don't fit in the dresser, so they're on the floor. Books and shit that this is like my taxes and stuff that I'm taking care of. Other crap that I need to get rid of over here. Boxes, there's boxes over there that you can't see. There's boxes over here that you can't see. My computers and everything all set up. So I'm showing this because I want to show a starting point. And it's a reflection for me, Hopefully, 6 months later, I can look back on this video and say, holy shit, like you've done something really good for yourself. Congratulations. And if I haven't, I'm gonna have to say, God damn it, when are you gonna, get your shit in gear? So, hopefully that is enough of an intro that you, whoever is watching this, again, I'm kind of shooting it for me so I can look back on this video. I'm kind of shooting it for my daughter so she can see where her dad was in this whole thing called life in this very moment, and what I'm attempting to do to move forward and get the fuck out of this situation. Not that it's bad. I'm very grateful that I have a roof over my head. I'm very grateful that I have a job again that's paying me a comfortable salary. It's enough to pay the bills. It's not like earth shattering or anything like that. But I do want to move forward. I do want more for my life than what I've currently allowed myself to have. And those are some hard lessons that I had to go through. And so if you're watching this video and you're in that low point in your life, hopefully as we move forward, you get to look back and say, man, that's where I was at, but here's where I'm at now, and it's a good place. So with that, with the introduction, want to also let you know in this video there's a couple of things that I'm going to move forward on. Again, I want to work on my health and fitness. I want to get back into shape, the shape that I was in when I was 40, believe it or not. I'm 43 as I'm shooting this video, going on 44 at the end of the year. By the time I hit 44, I want to look and feel as good as I did when I was 40, which was, I was in way better shape at 40 than I was in my 20s. That's number one. Number two, I'm working on the finances. So I've got a job, it's holding me together, and I'm going to use that to build a business online. And if you're watching this, you're already a part of it. I'll build a business online so that I can transform my life and create the life that I've always wanted. Having my own house, making a lot of time for my family, going on trips. I love to travel. Even though I've been broke, I've traveled a lot, and that's awesome when you get to see the world around you. So I want to work on building this business, and if you're watching this, I've got three little businesses that I'm doing. One is I do personal training online, so I help people on that respect, like move forward, work out, change their mindset about their body and where they are physically. I've got two network marketing businesses. One's really fun. One is the product is wine, and it's kind of neat to get together with friends. And I'm not even a big drinker. I don't even like the taste of wine that much, except for Moscato. The sweet stuff always gets me. But it's kind of fun to get together with friends and be like, hey, I'm having a little wine party. Come on over. And in the midst of the party, while we're having conversations about whatever, I can throw in little conversations about the business, and those that are interested in it can find out more, and it's just a cool way to build a business. The third business that I'm laying my foundation on is about personal financial freedom, and it's basically learning things about taxes, how to minimize your taxes, how to build a business that also helps minimize your taxes, building your credit. A couple of years back, I had bought a car, a Jeep Patriot, not the car that I wanted. But the point of the story is I got laid down with 22% interest on this fucking payment for this car that I didn't really want. It was a good car, but I didn't want it. And sure as hell didn't want to pay 22% interest on the car payment. And 7-8 months later, the car got repossessed because I just couldn't afford those damn payments. So I'm learning how to build my credit so I don't have to get stuck with that bullshit. Helping other people do that as well. And the biggest thing is learning how to grow a business. I'm in both of these, the wine and the personal finances. I'm in with a great team, and I think that's what's really cool about network marketing is I'm with a great team on both sides. Separate teams, they don't know each other. I'm sure they probably know each other. They're just not working together because they're building their own businesses. But um, it's really cool to learn from people that are in your same situation and they got themselves out and they're growing and they're making money and they're happy and have time with family and stuff like that. And that's all I really want. At the end of the day, I I I got a taste of it um, from somebody that my friend Johnny introduced me to, another internet marketer who was putting together a course on copywriting, and he wanted me to video his modules and stuff like that. So we worked on it, and he also kind of wanted a little like background history video that Johnny and I had put together. So I remember going out and shooting with this guy, and he took me to the apartment building where he used to live. He's like, "Hey, this is where I used to live." Blah blah blah. I used to like jam hours upon hours throughout the week learning my craft of how to do copywriting, and eventually, the copywriting got me out of this apartment. And then we're at his house, and he's like, now I get to stay at home. My wife doesn't have to work. It's a beautiful home. It's not lavish. There's not like, mansion or anything like that or Lamborghinis on the driveway. But he was comfortable and he was happy. And the one piece that got me was the other part of the video that we shot was he's like, we're gonna go to my kid's school, and we transition to the school, and he's like, because I live in a neighborhood where I decided my house is gonna be here next to the school. He goes, I walk my kids to school and then pick them up from school. Sometimes we go to the school when it's their lunchtime, and we'll have lunch with them. And I was like, man, out of everything that I've heard over the years, like millionaires talking about, this and this and that, cars, houses, travel, all this kind of shit, I'm like, that was it. That was it. Having that time and that schedule to say, I'm gonna take my kid to school, and after school I'm gonna pick her up, and during school on her lunchtime I'm gonna go visit her for lunch, and not have to be tied down to a job. Obviously he worked hard. He grew his business to the point where he could afford to hire me to videotape his stuff and sell his product. But for me personally, that's the thing that got me. I was like, holy shit, this is the life, man. Like, forget the trips to Hawaii. Like, this is really cool. Like, every day you get to take your kids to school, pick them up, and not have to worry about a job. And I've taken those things and I've done it myself, but I haven't done it with like the money side. So I've sacrificed money to have time freedom so that I could go pick up my daughter from school. Um, Her mom takes her to school in the morning, but there was many times over the years where I would go pick her up because I had the freedom to do that. I wasn't tied to a job that was like, you're here from 9 to 5 or 10 to 6 or whatever it was. And when she was sick or whatever, I would go pick her up or spend time with her. But I've also sacrificed that time freedom to have money so that I could buy things for her. My daughter's in gymnastics, and her mom pays the majority of the gymnastics bill. I help out where I can, and the thing is I want to help more. Like, I want to pay for all of it. I want to pay for my daughter to do the gymnastics thing over the summer. She's been invited twice to do some gymnastics program, a summer program, which I know she would love, and this is like one of her little mini dreams. I remember asking her last year, I'm like, what are your dreams? And she said, I want to go to the Olympics for gymnastics, and I want to sing and act on Broadway. And I was like, fuck, I want to be able to provide that for you. Like, how do I do that? So I've sacrificed my finances to have time to do stuff with my daughter and other family that I love. And I've done the opposite too, and I've sacrificed time so I can have money to pay for shit. And now my thing is like, let's move forward, let's make time and money together. So thank you for watching this video. I don't want to take up a whole lot of time. It's already like 25 minutes long. Didn't expect it to go this long, but now you have a little introduction to me. And in the next video, we will move forward, one step, one video at a time. Until then, have a great day.